A single mom, Ellie, and her 3 kids, teenage daughter Bridget, little Cassie, and son Danny, live in a dilapidated building that is about to be torn down. Ellie's younger sister Beth comes for a visit. Beth is a rock band technician who can't grow up and settle down. She has just found out that she's pregnant, and now she's trying to figure out what to do next. Beth doesn't have enough time to think the tricky situation through, though. During his tour of the house's basement, Danny comes across the Book of the Dead and some records with spells to summon demons. Ellie becomes the first victim of the demons, as out of a caring mother and sister she turns into a bloodthirsty killing machine. The Evil Dead movie series is one of the founding pillars of the horror genre and pop culture in general. It's a great example of what you can achieve by combining conciseness and brutality, while maintaining a sense of measure. On the one hand, those are very basic films featuring extreme, merciless violence that gets under your skin and fills you with some kind of primordial fear. On the other hand though, their creators always know when and where to stop, not only when it comes to the story, but also when it comes to new releases. Careful as not to bore the audience, the production team makes fans look forward to each new installment. The first 2 parts of Evil Dead, released in 1981 and 1987, are basically the same story told from 2 different perspectives. The first part, with its dirty, careless grindhouse vibe, was followed by a more mainstream sequel that featured a good-natured devil may care vibe. Then there came Army of Darkness, one of the most innovative films of the time. The movie found a bold way of mixing heroic fantasy, horror, and the almost Zucker-esque parody of both genres. The 2013 remake/reboot veered into a gloomy path of a blood-soaked slasher. However, it was done with such mastery that even hardcore fans didn't have the nerve to speak against the new installment. Some years fast forward, and the Ash vs. Evil Dead spin-off TV series appeared. The show had just the right number of seasons, 3 to be exact, before it gave way to another feature, Evil Dead Rise. The new part lacked Bruce Campbell as Ash, Evil Dead's director Fede Alvarez, and a hut in the woods, well, almost, while still having the cycle's mastermind Sam Raimi on its production team. The end product could have been anything really, but Raimi managed to serve a good horror once again. Hollywood horrors have always followed an unspoken taboo on killing kids. But Evil Dead Rise couldn't care less about any prejudices. Here, anyone is a target. And it's not some quiet off-screen vanishing, but agonizing, fully detailed death right in front of the camera. Remember how we mentioned a sense of measure a few minutes earlier? Well, it's that sense of measure that kept Evil Dead Rise from turning into a meaningless massacre that conceals the lack of style. Instead, the film delivers a Cameron/Carpenter-esque tension, keeping up the suspense from the first second to the last. Lee Cronin, the screenwriter and the director of Evil Dead Rise, centers his film around family ties, or, more accurately, emptiness and sorrow that arise when these ties get challenged or severed altogether. What can be more devastating than watching your mom, the closest person you have in the whole world, turn into a ruthless killer that knows all your secrets and weak spots and uses them against you? This is a rich and powerful theme to explore. And although Cronin could have dived deeper into the topic, he is honestly trying to find a balance between psychological horror and physical terror, which is the deeper of the two. And Cronin nailed it. There are graphic scenes in the movie that will make even the keenest horror fans shudder with dread. The massacre doesn't dampen the story though. The narrative is very simple, without being primitive. This is something Evil Dead Rise shares with Tobe Hooper's Poltergeist, James Cameron's Aliens, and other classic horrors of the 80s. The horrors that offered so much more than just scary scenes and action. The audience appreciated the honest old-school approach, making Evil Dead Rise the highest-grossing movie of the franchise. Now we can only hope that the creators will once again display their signature sense of measure and refrain from turning the cycle into a cash cow, with new installments coming out on a tight schedule.